So, I didn't make a video last week. I'm sorry. The reason why I didn't make a video was because I was at camp all week and I was in Tennessee with zero service. So I couldn't upload a video. So I don't know what your reason is, but that's my excuse. This is the first week where I don't know what to make a video on. I really struggled with what to make, which is surprising because when we started this, I was like, oh, I'll be able to come up with something. But now that I'm on this side of the camera, coming up with the topic, I struggle. But I have something I'm going to talk about. I'm going to tell the story of probably the biggest fight me and my brother had. So, a little background for this story. My brother got a phone when he turned 16. So I'm 14. You should know two things. He loves his phone. So I'd back me up here and say that his favorite item was that phone. My favorite thing, because I am equally as cool as Josiah, was my PSP. He would talk to people, I would play games. I loved my PSP. I had a thriving lawn business, and I saved to get a PSP. And I had a PSP. I would play Battlefront on it, and this four-wheeler game. I don't even like four-wheelers, but I play that game a lot. I'd jump around. I loved my PSP. What we would do is we would pick up trees in our yards. My dad would this is not how you chainsaw. My dad would chainsaw the trees into different pieces. We would load them on a trailer and we would take them to the burn pit. We did this a lot growing up. We lived in the woods. We had to cut down a lot of trees. We did not love this. But what we would do, me and Josiah would drive there together. Naturally, like any hardworking men would do, he brought his phone. I brought my PSP with me on this trip. So Josiah, he was the master driver. He drove all the time. I never got to drive, and I hated it. Well, here's one of the reasons is the first time I ever drove a golf cart, I crashed it. They assumed, to my displeasure, that anytime I drove, I'm gonna crash it. I didn't like that joke. I was sick of that joke. I wanted to prove people wrong, and it had really been growing on me, but I never had an opportunity. So we're driving. Josiah's driving. Oh, it's getting brighter. Maybe yeah, lighting is pretty inconsistent. Let's close these blinds. How does that look? Back to the story. So we're driving. I'm playing my PSP. Josiah's driving. We get there, we unload the wood, and then I foolishly make a decision. You see, I want to drive. Instead of maybe asking our parents, I decide it's time to take charge. So I hop in the driver's seat, lock the doors. I'm like, I'm driving. Poor decision. Josiah had a temper. He got mad. He didn't like that. My plan was good. I was locked in, except the passenger seat was kind of open, so he actually went in and grabbed the PSP. He had my PSP, but I had his phone. Things as you would expect escalated from this. You see, here's where we're at. Let me make a diagram for you. Let me use this old paper to tell a story. You see, here is the car. I'm in, so I'm right here. He has my PSP, so I get out of the car. I can't let that happen. He has my PSP, so he gets out of the car. So we are right here in the battle. Now, we are looking at each other, and there is fields on both sides. What Josiah says is, he threatens to throw my said PSP, which I respond with, I will throw your phone if you throw my PSP. We're stuck between a rock and a hard place because neither one of us were the most humble or the least. We were both very hard-headed. I'm holding this phone, he's holding my PSP, and we're staring each other down. It is a classic Western situation. Both have our guns. As you would expect, it didn't just solve itself. Josiah was like, I'm gonna drive. I'm like, no. And I'm like, Josiah, if you don't let me drive, I will throw your phone right now. Because here's what I'm thinking. Josiah has one of those crappy phones, but then there is my very expensive high-end PSP. I was like, he's not going to throw it. So he didn't give me a driver's seat. So I threw his phone. That was the wrong choice. He threw my PSP. He tossed it. So we have now both revealed that we are fools to one another. We didn't like that. We both are now very upset. So we find my PSP. The screen's cracked. Josiah's phone, can't find it. He is not happy. He leaves. So I'm stuck at the fireplace by myself for a little bit. I find his phone. His phone's fine. Not a scratch on his phone. I'm here with my broken PSP Perfect phone. I didn't like that. I don't know what else to do, so I start walking back. He picks me up, and I'm like, oh, your phone is broken. I lied to him. Didn't work. And in the end, I returned his phone. And that's the whole story. I know it's not a great story. But why do I tell you this story, Sai? Here's why. We learned 2 lessons. We learned, number 1, if you want to drive, don't force your hand. Reason. Because we were fools about it. Number 2, PSPs and gravity don't go well together. If a piece of dust even lands on that thing wrong, it'll break. Because that screen was rock. Well, in hindsight, I'm glad. Because I played the PSP way too much, and I stopped playing because of that. And I see now the error of my ways. So, Josiah, I'm sorry. And Sai, I'll see you Friday.